Okay, let me start recording. All right, once again, okay, I'm gonna record all the meetings, okay. Then I will upload all the records on my YouTube channel, okay. Then if you miss anything from our meetings, okay, just you visit my YouTube channel, and then you can find anything, okay. So you won't miss anything. Okay? All right, so today we are going to talk about a couple of papers. Okay. In the last time, okay, we talked about our syllabus. Okay. So basically, this course is composed of two parts. Okay, two parts. The first one is lecture sessions with your textbook. Okay, the traditional ones. Okay, classroom setting. And the second part is your simulation. Okay, simulation. Okay, half a half. Okay, all right. So the first part we are gonna practice. We are gonna talk about the environments and how to formulate strategy. The second part with the simulations, we are practice. We are practice how to implement the strategies. Okay, so before we talk about strategy, I wanna discuss. I wanna talk about two papers today and my research papers. Okay? To communicate with me. Okay? Also, these topics are very important in strategy management too. So after talking about these papers, then you will better knows that Khan is doing something like this. Okay, so today's topic is job market. Okay? Jobs. The number of jobs. Okay? Number of jobs. Basically, this paper is talking about the relationship between three factors. Jobs, number of jobs, and venture capital, VC funding, and research grants. Okay? Government funding. Okay. So we already knew, okay, everyone knows that, jobs, okay, number of jobs in the industry, you know this, okay. Then what's a venture capital? Venture capital, anyone has any idea? What is a venture capital? Please go ahead, tell us what the venture capital
Is venture capital is basically money that is used to support startups like new businesses.
All right, thank you, Harvey. Great, exactly. Venture capital is a private equity financing. That means venture capitalists, these people invest, they purchase the stocks from startups. Okay? And when startups grow up, okay, they sell the stocks. Then they have capital gains. Okay? So venture capital is a private equity financing, private money. So their purpose is what? They want to make money. They want to make money. Okay? Great. Thank you so much. Okay? And research grants, government money. Everyone knows that, right? Everyone knows that. So government supports some research and then to find some scientific knowledges. Okay? So these are research grants. In this study, we are focused on the NIH. Okay? NIH. Okay? Very famous, government organizations. So basically, we want to talk about the relationship between these three factors: two types of money and number of jobs. Okay. All right. So before we start, I just want to make sure everyone has a good audio, video, everything's okay to go. Okay. So please, if you are ready to go, please say yes. It is interesting. Okay, most people evaluate your understanding level of about 3 to 5. About these papers. Then, okay, let's see what happens. Okay, thank you so much. let's move. So, there are three questions. Okay. I assume that you read the papers already. So, you are gonna have your team meetings. Okay, team meetings. About 15 minutes discussions with your team. Okay, you want to discuss these three questions. So first one is, what is the story about? Please share the story with your team. Okay, so once again, I do not expect you understand 100% of this paper. Okay, no worries, no worries. But okay, some part of it you can understand. So if you understand some part of it, please help each other, okay, to enhance your understanding in your team discussions. So please help your teammates to understand more. Okay, then try to understand what is the story about, what is the theory about. Okay. And the second question is, discuss the paper in the concepts of competitive advantage, reduce cost, and increase product differentiations. This is a totally open question. Okay, open question. Okay, you can take any perspective. Okay, you can take startups, you can take governments, you can take investors, whatever. Okay, you can take any perspectives of stakeholders in this study. Okay, and then you need to think about, oh, it is good for what? Competitive advantage, it reduce cost, it increase product differentiation. Competitive advantage, so simply speaking, doing better than others. Okay? And reduce cost, you know this, right? Cost reduction. What kind of cost is reduced? Okay? And increase product differentiation. Product differentiation is just better product, okay? Better inventions, whatever. Okay? So discuss this. The last question. The last question. If you are authorized to allocate the financial resource, so you are the boss. Okay? You can do everything, anything. Okay? You're the boss. Then what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in this context? Okay? Alright. Please discuss these three questions with the teammates. After your team discussions, we are gonna discuss as a whole group. As a whole group. Okay? Alright, so let's go. I'm gonna create your breakout rooms, okay? Your breakout rooms, okay? For your team discussions, for your team meetings. So if I create, how many? 6? Yeah, 6. I'm gonna create 6 rooms, okay? So please, team 1, if you are in team 1, please join in room number 1, okay? Team 1, room 1, okay? Room number 1. If you are team 2, room number 2. Team 3, room 3. Team 4, room 4. Team 5, room 5. Team 6, room 6. So please make sure which team you are in and join in the right room. So now I'm gonna create breakout rooms. We need 6 rooms and duration is what? Yeah, 15 minutes. Okay, now you are ready. Join your breakout rooms for your team meetings. So, team 1, please go ahead. Join room number 1. Team 2, room number 2. Team 3, room 3. Team 4, room 4. Team 5, room 5. Team 6, room 6. Dominic, you can join video team one, room number one, please. Dominic, you can join video team one, room number one. All right. Great. Welcome. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay. So, how was your meeting? Was good? I must say this is good. So how was the meeting? It went well? So 50 minutes. It was okay? All right. Great. We say yes. Okay. All right. So your team meetings will be like this. Okay. So basically, your team help each other to enhance your understanding. Okay. So after your team meetings, we are gonna have a chance to talk about it as a whole group. As a whole group. So let's talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about it. So the first question. Okay. What is the story about? Please share the story with your team. Okay. So what is the story about? What did you talk about? Please tell us. Anyone, any team, please go ahead.
Basically, about two different types of funding and their effects on employment in a region in the medical device field.
All right. Okay. So, Braden, thank you so much, Braden. This paper, basically, Braden point is principle. It's talking about the relationship between the financing sources and number of jobs. Okay. How actually the financing sources impact. Okay, number of jobs in the medical device sector. Okay, this is a basic idea. Okay, the setting of this paper. Okay, all right. Thank you, Brandon. Anybody else? Who was it? Please go ahead. What's the story about? Anything else?
Bibu helped explain to me a little bit more about how like research grants works, like the NIH funds, because I didn't know that it was like part of the medical device field before. And then we talked about like how to allocate the sources was if there was a way to be able to do like venture capital for the short term and then transition into whatever the research grant was able to figure out.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Jacob. Jacob, thank you so much. This is a fundamental idea of this paper. Jacob was talking about two types of financing sources: venture capital and NIH grants. Okay? This is the newness of this story. Okay? This study. Okay? Basically, in the previous literature, many economists, many people was talking about the same thing, the impact of financing sources on the number of jobs. But but they did just combine all the financing sources in a basket. Okay? Then my co-authors and I said, hey, there's a problem. Okay? Actually, different types of money, okay, have different purposes, different investment patterns, different consequences. But we just, do not consider anything. That is a problem. Okay? That was the beginning. That was the beginning. What of this project? Okay. All right. Any other point? Anybody else? Okay. Now let's talk about a little bit more about the paper because I want to talk about some stuff in the paper. Okay. The something like the numbers. Okay. Probably in your team discussions, your understanding about the story is okay, but we need to talk about some numbers too, okay? Because you are the business leaders in your future job. Think about that in your future job, okay? You go up, up, up in your organizations, in the higher hierarchy of organizations, then you will have more and more information you have to deal with. Okay, some informations about some statistics. Some informations include some academic stuffs. Okay, so as a business leader, you should be ready to understand this. You don't need to understand 100%, but you have a pretty good sense about what's going on in your informations. Okay, so that's why I just want to introduce this. Okay, all right. So types of capital, we already talked about that, right? Venture capital and NIH funding, different. Okay, different. Venture capital, private capital, they want to make money. Okay? So the motivation of this capital is totally different from the NIH funding. NIH funding pursue what? Scientific discovery for society. Okay? Two different types of capital. So based on this understanding, motivation of study is venture capital and research grants impact regional employment and what contextual factors shape these relationships. Okay, three factors, relationships between these three factors. Okay, so look at this. This is pretty interesting. Okay? So this was the conventional approach. Okay? Many people in academia, in economics, okay, they use this conventional approach. Okay? So look at this model. yi equals the functions of KLRE. That means the level of employment, yi, is a function of what? Financial capital, labor capital, intellectual capital, entrepreneurial capital. These factors impact the level of employment. Okay? All right? So many people use this model. Then, when I look at this model, it was a problematic. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's very strong to explain the level of employment. But again, think about that. Public, private, two types of capital are different, but it is not distinguished in this model. It's a problem. Okay? It cannot be combined homogeneously. Okay? So I just simply suggest this model. Look at this. Just one alternation. Okay? yi, again, the level of employment is influenced by K1 and K2, not K. K1, K2. That means K1 is a venture capital, K2 is NIH. So I just separate two types of capital. Okay? And this is the newness of this study. Very simple, right? And also, think about that. K and R. R. Intellectual capital, more knowledge. Okay? So probably, in my perspective, money and knowledge in that region will interact each other. That was my idea. Okay? That was my idea. So I just insert. Okay, I just add up one more interaction variable here. So this is the advanced model from this. Okay? So basically, I just distinguish two types of capital, okay, and add up one interaction variables between money and knowledge. So based on this model, I go this. Spelling intuitive, right? So VC funding positively impact regional job creations, and NIH funding positively increase regional job creations. Okay? And these are my hypotheses. And also, intellectual capital in the region that have higher intellectual capital, more knowledge, probably this effect between VC funding and regional jobs will be more salient, okay, maybe more greater. This is an example of interaction variable between these two variables, intellectual capital, VC funding. And intellectual capital, VC, NIH funding, okay, the same thing. In a higher intellectual capital society, NIH funding will more greatly impact regional jobs. So based on this model, I have hypotheses like this. Venture capital, positive, increase regional jobs. NIH funding, increase regional jobs. And positive relationship between VC and regional employment is stronger in the region, higher intellectual capital. Exactly same thing in the hypothesis for NIH. This is a story. Probably you understand, until this. Okay, how about this? Better? Now you have a good sense about the story? Okay, all right. Emma says yes. Okay, all right. Then, to test this hypothesis, I move to the empirical things. All right. So I use the data, ICS data, okay, from Harvard Business School, and then I use 248 medical device clusters, the areas, regions, over 12-year period. Okay, so medical device sector, 248 regions. Okay? And then my dependent variable and independent variables. Okay. At this point, I want to remind you the previous class statistics. So dependent variable, independent variables. Anybody, please remind us what are dependent variables, what are independent variables in your statistics class. Please let me know.
The dependent variable is what we're measuring, and the independent variable is what we manipulate.
Okay, thank you, Brigham. Okay, so dependent variable is impacted variable. All right, impacted variables. So and independent variables are impacting variables. Okay, so independent variables manipulating dependent variables. Okay, in this context, my dependent variable is the level of employment, number of jobs. Okay, so because number of jobs is impacted by something, these somethings are independent variable, financial capital, like a VC and NIH funds. Okay, all right. So basically, when you look at the something like statistics or regressions, whatever, you need to identify what are your dependent variable and independent variables are first. Okay, given this understanding, okay, the next things are just mechanical. All right. So in this context, again, your dependent variable is what? The number of employees, because this is impacted by some other factors. Okay. And your independent variables are financial capital, two types of capital, VC and NIH. Okay. And we have one more variables, intellectual capital. Okay. This is we say interaction variable. Okay. But I'm not going to talk about the interaction variable at this point. I just want to focus on the dependent variable and independent variables in the empirics. Okay. because you are not researcher. You will become a business leader, right? Business leader, organizational leader. Okay, so I just want to focus on the basic but fundamental things you should know. Okay, so my dependent variable is number of jobs, and my independent variables are venture capital funding and NIH funding. All right. Then this is a summary statistics. Summary statistics. Okay. So look at this. Level of employment, number of jobs. Okay. The mean and standard deviation is something like that. Okay. Right. So mean is 5.81. Okay. Then the simple technique is I just wanna separate, divide two samples into two samples, high VC funding and low VC funding. Okay, the samples is divided into two groups. High VC funding means the areas high VC funding workers. Okay? Then low VC funding, the areas low VC funding workers. Okay, so look at this. The high VC funding sample, the mean level of employment is greater, 7.64 is greater than that of low VC funding. Okay? Compare this and this. Then we can say, oh, in a high VC funding sample, higher level of employment. Okay, it's a good sign. The level of employment is positively, probably correlated with VC funding. High level of employment, high VC funding. Okay, right? This logic is applied in the same thing, same logic. High NIH funding area and low NIH funding area. High and low, the level of employment. So in the high NIH funding sample, higher level of employment. Low NIH funding sample, lower level of employment. Okay, so it is, the promising means level of employment can be correlated with high, BC funding. Level of employment can be correlated with NIH funding too. Okay, so based on this descriptive statistics, I'm gonna move to the regressions. This is actually what I want to present, what I want to discuss, okay, for your understanding. Okay? All right. So regressions, we talked about dependent variable and independent variables, right? Okay. So look at these are models. Okay. Most regressions will be presented in this way, like a table. Okay? This table. Okay. How to read this table? Very simple. This is a model, separate models. This is a model number 1. This is a model number 2, model 3, and so on. Okay. So let's look at only this model number 1. Okay. All right. So in the table, the first thing you need to find your dependent variable and independent variables. Okay. Then your dependent variable, what is it? Level of employment T. Level of employment. This is your dependent variable. Okay. All right. I see my dependent variable is level of employment. Okay. And usually your independent variables are in this way. Okay. So your independent variables can be level of employment T minus 1, disregard this, but look at this. VC funding and NIH funding and intellectual capital. Oh, these are my independent variables. I just found it. Okay. Then in model number one, there's no VC funding, NIH funding here. Okay. Because model one, this model just includes control variables. Okay? And in model number two, your dependent variable is the level of employment. Okay? And it includes every independent variables here. Okay. Then you see VC funding and NIH funding. Okay. And look at this. This is a regression coefficients. The VC funding has what? Positive plus sign and 3 stars. This star means okay, statistically significant at some levels. Okay, so VC funding has a positive and significant regression coefficient. That means statistically VC funding contributes to level of employment. Okay. Positively significant. The same logic. NIH funding, positive and significant regression coefficient. So NIH funding increase level of employment too. So far so good? Ethan? Okay. Then these are the interaction variables. The multiplication between VC funding and intellectual capital. Okay? This is interaction variables, and positive and significant too. Okay, but I'm not gonna talk about this. Okay, so let's focus on this. Okay, just a simple, very fundamental regressions. Okay, so positive and significant. So now, okay, my first hypothesis: VC funding increased level of employment is a supportive. Okay. Then, okay, and NIH funding too. Then, my idea was, a little bit more. So, VC funding increased level of employment in this year. Okay, think about that. VC funding is invested in this year. Then the level of employment in this year is impacted. How about next year? How about the following year? How about the following years? We don't know how many years this impact will maintain. Then I have a series of dependent variables, level of employment T plus 1 in model 3. Okay. T plus 1 means level of employment next year. Okay. The year after VC funding and NIH funding are invested. And T plus 2 means the year, 2 years later. T plus 3, 3 years later, 4 years later, something like this. Then I find that VC funding and NIH funding continuously positive and significant regression coefficient. Wow. So VC funding and NIH funding increase level of employment even some years later. Okay. This is what these numbers mean. Okay. So probably in your future jobs, probably in the entry level, probably not. But when you go up and up in your organizations, okay, you will, have to deal with more information and advanced information. So when you look at, okay, when you deal with some regressions, there are tons of regressions, okay, but basically you just find your dependent variables and independent variables. Then find this regression coefficient. Is it positive or negative? Significant or insignificant? If you found this, you are totally fine. Totally okay. Right? So as a business leader, as a strategist, you should know up to this level. This level. If you totally are not aware of this kind of stuff, probably you will have some problem with communicating with others. Okay? So please, that's why I just want to introduce these numbers too. Okay. All right. So based on these discussions, based on these numbers, my hypotheses are supportive. Okay. So VC funding, NIH funding increase the number of jobs, but in different fashions. So based on these findings, once again, there are many types of different regressions, but you don't need to care. You don't need to care. Okay? You're not a researcher, so just think about your dependent variable, independent variable, and regression coefficients. So based on our findings, strategies should consider what? Okay? Different effects from two different financing sources. So appropriate typology on financial capital is very important. And interaction effects of financial capital and intellectual capitals are important too. Okay. These are pretty much about the story. Okay. Almost everything in this paper. Better, Keegan? Now you're better? Okay, all right. Yes, Jacob, dependent is your y, independent is x. Okay, all right, great. So, let's go back to the first slide. So I believe now you have a better understanding about this paper. Okay. So please, let's try this. How do you evaluate right now your understanding level from 0 to 10? 0, no understand. 10, perfect understand. How do you say? Please type it. Wow, 7, 6. Much better. 7, wow, that's great. Great, thank you so much. Okay. So it improved a lot. Okay. All right, great. Wow, impressive. Okay. So I'm totally happy with this. Okay. So it's considerably improved. Okay. So based on this understanding, okay. So discuss the paper in the concepts of competitive advantage, reduce cost, and increase product differentiation. Okay. Anyone, any team, please go ahead. What did you discuss? Please tell us. Any perspective? All right, let's talk about team 2. What did you discuss? Anyone in team 2?
The competitive advantage that you get from having that funding was, we were thinking that you'd have a bit more because, like, after seeing that it has like positive impacts, just having that funding in the first place will allow you to set yourself apart from other companies who may not have that.
All right, so Jacob, his team was talking about probably startups perspective. Okay, startups perspective. Startups have a better funding, okay, and have a better competitive advantage. Simply speaking, competitive advantage is doing better than others. Okay. More resource, do better. So makes sense. Okay. Based on my consultation activities, okay, the first issue in a startup at the early stage, the first stage, early stage, they always seek money, financial capital. The shortage of money was the most critical issue. And then when they grow up a little bit, the second stage, the next stage is people. Okay? People. So actually, money and people are the most critical resources for startups. Okay? Now, VC funding, NIH funding creates resources for startups. So startups have a competitive advantage. That's good. That's good. Okay? Thank you so much. Okay. Any other point? Anything else? Any other discussions?
Could you explain on the second discussion question, could you explain the product differentiation? Because our group was not able to come up with exactly what that meant.
Oh, product differentiation is a simply speaking better product. Better product. Okay. This question is a fundamental idea of straight management. We'll talk about this one again and again. Thank you so much for your asking. Okay. I want to clarify this. The framework, Hardy, thank you. The framework we'll talk about throughout the semester is really simple. Reduce cost, increase product differentiations. There are two generic strategies. If you successfully do this, you have competitive advantage. This is a framework. Okay? And reduce cost means cost reduction. If you spend less money to produce the same product. Okay? And product differentiation is you produce a better product with the same cost. Okay? This is a product differentiation strategy. Process innovation and product innovations, two generic strategies. If you successfully do this, two generic strategies, you will have competitive advantage better than others. This is a fundamental framework of straight management. So product differentiation, simply speaking, you produce better product. Okay? Better product with the same cost. Okay? All right. So the region, think about that. In this paper, the region, the area. Okay? If the area have a better resource and better knowledge, okay, then they have better financing sources, like a venture capital, right, NIH capital. Then probably they have a better chance to produce better product, better knowledge, okay, better scientific discoveries. Okay? This is the example of product differentiation. Okay? All right. So we can take in this paper, with this paper, we can take startups perspective and local government's perspective, federal government's perspective, and venture capitalist perspective, any perspective. Then we can just use this simple framework, reduce cost, increase product differentiations, and competitive advantage. Okay? Then we can analyze, oh, this is why we care about strategy. Okay? Is it an answer? Okay. All right. Any other comments? Okay. Then the last question. You are the boss. What are you going to do? Anyone in any team, please go ahead. You're the boss. What are you gonna do based on this study?
I think going off what Jacob said earlier, we'd probably stick to the same strategy of having VCs in the short term, and then probably, in the long run, trying to prioritize having more grants and doing more research because like NIH is a niche industry, and they know what they're doing, and it's more focused on medical facilities and research. So it's better to have that in the long run, while having VCs is gonna help you bring in a lot of capital. So
All right, great people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So look, see, we just divide two types of capital, VC and NIH. VC produce a short-term effect. NIH produce a long-term effects. Okay, we can find this. Then based on these findings, then we can focus on the NIH first because it produces long-term effects. It should go first. Then VC follows. Then we have a perfect match of the in the allocation of these two types of capital. That is people's point. That is the point from the study. Okay. So that is simple idea. Okay, just divide two types of capital, but these policy implications or some strategic implications, huge. Okay. That's why people like this paper. Okay. Great, good discussions. Good discussions. Any other points? Anything else you want to mention? Okay, so we talked about industry and innovation paper. This is the first paper I wrote. Okay, then I am writing this paper again. Okay, so in the industry and innovation paper, I just focus on the what is that? The broad map. Okay, broad picture of these variables. Then after probably 2 years, I was thinking, I just want to focus on the relationship between VC and NIH funding itself. They are strategic complements or strategic substitutes. Probably you understand this. Strategic complements, strategic substitutes. Then I just try to write a new paper with again my courses, David Koo and Elijah Edelman. David Koo is a Georgia Tech guy, and Elijah Edelman is an MIT guy. They are teaching in Georgia Tech and MIT. Then same data, but different approaches. You don't need to understand the theoretical approach. A lot of mathematical stuff, but basically it is asking. Okay, VC and NIH fundings are strategic complements or strategic substitute. This paper, it says they are strategic substitutes. So VC high and NIH low. Okay, NIH high and VC low. Okay, these are the negatively inactive. Okay, so you should focus on either one of these. Okay, you cannot consider these two types of capital simultaneously at the same time. It's not good. Okay? That is the main point of this paper. Okay. All right. This is pretty much about the second paper too. So this is pretty much about two papers. Then our first meeting. How was it? You did a great job. Great discussions. Okay? And any other question, comments? If you don't have any question, comment, I'm going to conclude this meeting. Okay. So no question, no comment. Okay, please let me know. So you don't have any question, you're ready to go. Please say yes. All right, great. So today we talk about two papers, okay? BC and NIH effects, okay? And then for the next time is what? Next Monday is a holiday, right? So next Wednesday is our next meeting. So next Wednesday, we are going to talk about corporate venture capital and real option theory, real option perspective. Corporate venture capital and real option theory. Both concepts. Corporate venture capital is a venture capital done by corporations. You will understand this with the paper. And real option perspective is a kind of finance theory, but that is applied in my paper. Okay? So these two concepts are very important in the strategic management too. Okay? So for the next Wednesday, we are going to talk about two papers. Okay? Strategic Management Journal paper, SNJ, and one more working papers. Okay? These two papers are on your on your canvas, so you can read it. We'll discuss these two papers in the next meeting. Okay. All right. Great job. Great job. You did a great job today. Okay. Then, if you don't have any question, comment, you're confident, then I'm gonna see you on Wednesday. All right. Thank you so much. Great discussions. You did a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Melody. Thank you, Dominic. Ooh.
And Dr. King, I had a quick question.
All right, Jacob.
Yeah, it was a little bit different than what we were talking about, so I didn't want to hold anyone up. But for the first paper, so you were saying that the point of the second one was that VC and NIH funding were strategic kind of opposites or inverses. So use more of one, you get less out of the other. But was the point of your regression results just to show that both had a positive impact rather than that they're strategic kind of inverses?
Yeah, that was the newness of the second paper. Actually, in
Okay.
the first paper, both VC and NIH positively impact the level of employment. Okay?
Okay.
But in the second paper, I'm going to show you. It is very interesting.
Yeah, I was just seeing the regression results, so they were both positive, but VC seemed to have a greater impact for longer.
Look at this. Yes, short term and long term. In the first paper, I understood like that. And in the second paper, look at this. VC NIH funding positive, but this interaction variables.
Okay.
VC funding multiplied by NIH funding. This is the interaction variables. Right? If this interaction variables is a negative and significant regression coefficient, is a strategy substitute. So it cannot go. These two cannot go simultaneously.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because in the first one, your sort of the cross comparison was just between VC and intellectual and NIH and intellectual, but the and then that one's when they're VC is compared to NIH, so that makes more sense. Thank you.
Right. Good catch. Good catch. Actually, this is, this simple thing is the newness of this stuff. With some, theoretical stuff, but, so that's why I was pretty excited about these findings. Okay? So both have a short-term, long-term effects respectively, but still they are strategic substitutes, so they cannot grow simultaneously. It is very interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
It is surprising too that you just catch this, because I didn't talk about these things, because if I talk about the statistical stuff a lot, probably most students will be confused. So that's why I just focus on the fundamental things in this meeting. But actually, your understanding seems to be pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Good job, Jacob. Good catch.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right.